was put out at the last meeting was said by any of the board members. As far as executive session, we posted the meeting as an open meeting. We went into executive session. I went through the Robert's rules of executive session. We did everything that was required, and that I made sure that we did it appropriately. So there was nothing, not going to pay an attorney $1,000 to tell me how to read Robert's rules out. So that was everything was done as according to the law in that aspect. But specifically to the firefighters, because I myself have benefited greatly from grass fires, hay bale fires, hay wagons catch on fire, and they're there. I've benefited more, as much or more than anybody in this building, okay, from their commitment. But what was said, we were accused of saying, nothing was ever said. The firefighters in our entire meeting on the budget that night was brought up twice. 2 times the firefighters discussed. Both times they were brought up by Ed Kester. It's specific to the firefighters. Not one board member brought up a firefighter. You guys, I want you guys to agree that we spent most of the time replaying the minutes. Damon had recorded the minutes as he does most every meeting, so he can go back and make sure they're accurate when he makes his minutes up. So they're recorded. We broke it down in about 2-minute segments, that's why we were here for 2 hours, to make sure that we all agreed what was said and who said what. And I'm not going to sit up here and call anybody a liar, but what was brought to the meeting last month was completely unbased. And so I want you to be aware of that as we move forward with this meeting, because there was never, ever, not even a whisper of a degrading comment made about a firefighter, about a fire chief of any kind. So I would like the other board members to, if you disagree with that assessment, this is what we talked about at our meeting the other night when we broke the tape down. Does anybody disagree with those comments?
No.
I'm gonna say no, I don't disagree. Not 100% accurate in what you said.
If there is such a recording under open meetings and Freedom of Information Act, that's a public recording, and I'd like to have a copy of it.
We can listen to it right now.
No, I want a copy of the original. I want to be able to put it through my analysis.
Yes.
They have a copy that was sent to them. I want the original.
How do we know it wasn't altered?
Randy, really?
That's what I want to make.
You can hear the whole entire thing.
Damon, she's not the only one that thought that.
It was never altered.
She's not the only one that's
That's
thought
right.
that.
Well, like I said,
I
I
talked to a coworker this week
I just-
that thought that could have happened.
It's
So
easy to do.
It's not just one person.
Well, you can listen to it in its entirety. We can play it in its entirety for you.
That's the original.
For the original.
Okay, well,
It's on there.
I think it would be.
And so it's available.
Yeah, several people have it. So
okay. Well, like I said, I want the
even
original
sent it to
off there.
Jeff Motzler.
Jeremy's got
So
it.
so Jeff Motzler has the minutes.
Mozetter?
And he can see that there was no doctoring in it. I sent it to him.
Mozetter? Doug
Mozetter,
Mozetter?
yeah.
Yeah.
Okay,
So he has it.
just wanted to.
Jeremy Andrews has it. Ed Kester has it.
Okay.
Well, I'm not asking any of them
Well,
for
no,
their
no,
copy.
But they were questioning whether or not it has been altered.
Well, and that's what I wanna look
as
at.
Jeremy can verify it, and Ed Kester can verify.
I want
that
to
they were at the meeting,
I want to verify it
and all
electronically.
board members have verified it also.
Well, did anybody run it through?
What we heard was there, but I also say there are things that were said that did not get picked up.
Do you believe that was altered?
Not intentionally,
If
but I just think things didn't get on the tape.
I just want a copy of the original so I can run it through electronically.
Write down their email, and I will try to get an email. It's a big file.
No, I'll bring a flash drive and get it.
Well, I've got it on my phone, so I have no idea how to do that.
If you want
So I
to give me
can-
a flash drive and give you a copy that's on here, it's the exact copy.
That, well, if it's on his phone, that's the original. That's the one I want.
Can I say something?
I would like to say something too, because regardless of what is on the tape or not on the tape, I attended the meeting last month and there was agreement from the board, from the ladies in particular, acknowledging that comments were made.
Well, first of
I
all, one of the
wasn't part
persons
of
wasn't
that
there.
meeting.
It was me.
I
Yes.
wasn't part of that meeting.
Well, there's an acknowledgement that comments were made, regardless of if they were picked up on the tape or not. And that's what we're addressing, not what was on the tape or what wasn't on the tape, but what was said. And these comments were said, and to say they weren't said, when you have someone on the board that says they were said, that's what we're trying to, that's why the community is concerned and disappointed
Will
and here
you-
to show our support.
So, I mean, I can get the copy out there, but surely Jeremy Andrews has listened to it, Jeff Boxler has listened to it, and so if they're willing to speak up in the visitor section right now, would you believe that it was authentic?
I don't know, David, I wasn't there.
No, but I mean, I sent you the,
Oh, you sent me a,
And
yeah,
did you
sent me a
listen to
copy.
it?
Yes, sir, you did.
you listen to it?
I did listen to this whole thing.
Did you believe that it was authentic? I mean, Jeff, we've known each other for quite a few years now, right?
Okay.
Do you think I would hide anything from that? Do you think that I even have the
Okay, so
capability?
Damon, since you're asking me personally, I had a conversation with one of your board members
Mhm. Which
about
one?
this exact thing.
Which one?
I'm not,
Hey,
And-
we are addressing the public right now.
okay?
Let's get it out there.
I had a conversation with a board member that came to me, and I said, who said it? And your name came up.
Okay, so one of the board members, which of course, and because I wasn't at the last meeting to address those comments, and so I know I was the person that was the scapegoat of the last meeting, which I have made that well known to all the board members, about any kind of derogatory comments that I made about Ed Chester, and I even heard that I said any monkey can be a fire department, can be a firefighter.
Okay, Damon, let me ask you a question. Did you record after the meeting? No, you shut off the minute the meeting was stopped. Am I correct? Yes or no?
As far, the meeting was over.
Yes.
The only thing
No, I want you to understand it. Did you shut the recording off? Because the recording I got was shut off the minute the meeting was done.
Right. But that's all I'm recording. There's no other official.
I'm not saying that. I'm saying, was that comment, since you're here now, was that comment said after the meeting was over?
Never.
Okay.
Never.
You're the only one that can tell me that's the truth.
Never.
Okay.
The thing that happened after the meeting is I tapped Ed Kester on the shoulder, and I.
Yeah, you guys were all laughing and talking, so when I heard that tape shut off. So I didn't hear no ill will feelings amongst each other.
And it's still another. I've had a personal conversation with Ed Kester.
But what I'm saying is, Damon, I had a board member come to me, and it's not Andy. Okay?
Okay.
And I said, who said it? And your name came up.
Right.
Okay.
And so now you listen to the recording, right?
I-
Oh, I said that you said that happened after the meeting?
No.
Oh, it
That's not what
happened
I said.
during the meeting?
I don't know when it happened. I listened to the recording and I could not hear it.
Okay. So
that
now
help you out?
so now we're on hearsay now, and of course I questioned the hearsay of whether or not something was said, but I didn't say nothing derogatory.
Okay.
You know what it takes to be a volunteer fire department. You do.
Yes, sir.
You've been here a long time.
Yes, sir.
Okay? You've been here a long time, and I want to address this because you don't know how much all of us as board members here appreciate what you do. We made comments.
I
over
heard
the
that last month, yes, sir.
Seven
You guys
years.
here finally came to me and said, multiple of you guys said, thank you very much. We're sorry this happened. Yes, we appreciate you. So, yes, I do know.
So I don't know where the disconnect between the board and the firefighters came, because I want to address that too. In fact, I was going to be asked to come to your firefighters association meeting because the problem with this is there should be no disconnect between the firefighters and the board, because we should be working together. Right? Because that's what our whole goal is. Our whole goal is to provide you with the best equipment that we can afford. With the best equipment Now, I don't wanna make this derogatory, because I don't want to. Now, the little escapade that I heard that you put out
Yep.
last month about throwing gear out,
Yep.
that was from 2008, that wasn't even in use.
No, it wasn't you. I put a coat back over there, a coat over there.
Now,
Leave it
I
alone.
understand that's your gear.
Leave it
Okay?
alone. I'm right there and right behind you.
Right, okay. Now the problem is that we had a fire chief here and an assistant fire chief here that gives us gear, okay? It came
Oh,
out
go ahead.
that she
No,
doesn't
keep
even
going.
go into fires anymore. That she doesn't even go into fires, she doesn't even use it.
What if it's just me and her?
Okay, so then why was that gear brought to us from your chief and your assistant fire chief?
Because we're only allowed to put 3 sets of gear to you guys at all at one time. You
Okay.
really want to know the truth?
So
And
you
we have
have
to
that?
wait till the end of the
Calm,
year.
calm,
From
please.
2008?
What?
Okay, well, no, okay, we'll just table that.
Okay.
We'll table that, but that was not right, right? And.
No,
your
everything I said was 100%
Your
correct.
chief debunked that to me personally.
Well, let's ask him.
Okay, so
Where is your chief today?
he's not our chief. You guys,
No, he's still your chief.
well then you guys might have let him know that.
No.
You talked to him?
I
Did
talked
you
to
tell
him.
him he's still our chief?
Yes.
And I talked to him, and I asked him personally, do you want to still be the chief? To the chief.
And what was his response? Because you guys haven't talked to us at all.
So, well, I figured that since he's still there as the chief, you gotta have somebody run the department. So
Right there. That
Right.
man sitting right at the end of that table,
Right.
been running this floor.
Because Jeff, when you resign from a position, what do you believe that your responsibility is?
No more.
And your chief said that, right? Well, Chief Kester said that, right?
Something
I
to that nature,
retire
yes.
and I resign my position.
Something to that nature, yes.
I retire.
Okay, so, and the board last month didn't accept that. They tabled it.
No.
The table it to see if things could calm down.
We went into a 5-minute executive session, come out.
Said you didn't accept his resignation. So he didn't have a resignation.
We didn't accept it. We tabled it.
to this month.
That's not what you guys said. You said we do not accept his resignation.
Right.
Those are the
And
words
so
you guys
then
said.
he has not come forward to the board to say that he will still stay the chief.
He was gone. I don't know what he said. I've talked to him once.
I talked to him a week ago.
All right, minutes, the last meeting, let me read it to you.
I got him.
Several members of the public stated their support for Ed and urged, starting in the middle of the fire chief report from Ed Kester, that's where it's listed in the minutes, okay? Second paragraph, several members of the public stated their support for Ed and urged members of the board to go after him. Jeff made a motion to go into executive session to discuss personnel issues for 5 minutes. Mike second, motion passed. The board went into executive session at 8:23 p.m. and came out of the executive session at 8:26 p.m. Jeff made a motion to not accept Ed's resignation and address the issue at next meeting in September. Neil second, motion passed. So
And
we
so-
tabled it to this meeting. We
Okay,
did not
so did you
accept
not
the
say, Jeremy,
resignation.
you're now the new chief?
No. Mike
Jeremy?
made a motion. Minutes, continuing. Minutes, right here.
Oh,
Mike made a motion to appoint Assistant Chief Jeremy Andrews as interim fire chief until the next meeting. Larry second, motion passed, so that you would not be rudderless without a person in charge.
See, so as you can see, when it passes from one mouth to another, to another, to another, out of how things get misconstrued, right? It happens to all of us. I'm sure it's happened to all of us. So I just wanted to debunk any kind of bad will that was said in the meeting, bad language that was said in the meeting, bad things that were said in the meeting. The only thing that elevated during the July 5th meeting was when Ed Kester and I were discussing, and I admit it, I raised my voice. Ed Kester was raising his voice, and then Mike shut it down by saying, okay, this is what we want to do. We want to keep the revenue, we want to lower the revenue neutral leg, and we want to keep the same budget for 2024 as 2023. We didn't cut the budget. We didn't cut it at all. No, we didn't. We did not. We kept the same budget. We just did not accept the property value increase on the revenue neutral rate. You realize that we can't raise the budget one way or other without having a special meeting. So 3 years ago, Governor Kelly installed a revenue neutral rate, okay? So as the property taxes go up, because we didn't cut the budget at all. I want to put that out there because everybody else said that we cut the budget. We didn't cut the budget, we just did not accept the revenue neutral rate of the property taxes that went up.
So can I ask, in other words, you're saying that if the revenue neutral rate, if we get more money because the property values increase, you're not going to accept it, you're going to keep the same budget that we have this year? Is that what you're saying?
For next year.
That's
only.
So in other words, when they have more money to give the department, you're not gonna accept it?
No. We decided from this year, for 2024 budget, we would accept the same budget as we have for the 2023.
And you know every year that it goes up automatically.
If the property taxes go up.
Okay, now we're playing.
Property values go up.
Yes, and they've gone up for the last 5 years. I know.
Amongst yours statement, wasn't it, Angie?
Mine's
That
been
we're-
up and down
that
over
they're like
5
a mayor.
years, but it's been up and
Now,
down.
some people.
Former board member says that they fluctuate from.
Well, I went up and talked to the county commissioner myself. I went up and talked to the county clerk myself.
Sure.
To find out information that I thought was important. And yes, it automatically drops every year. It's for the last 5 years, it automatically drops. But because property values increase, we get more money even at a lower rate. Now you're saying, well, we're gonna budget for 2023 the same budget 2024.
Right.
Oh, but most likely you're gonna get some more money, but we're not gonna accept it. So you guys are just shit out of luck, right?
Out of luck what?
Out of money, the money that you didn't
Out of luck
accept.
for whatever else.
What are we out of luck for? The money you didn't accept.
What's that?
The money we didn't accept.
The money you're not going to accept, is that what you're saying?
You're saying that the budget.
We did not accept the revenue neutral rate
Which means you
because
didn't
our
take the
budget,
So yes, the budget for 2024 is gonna be the same as 2023. It is right now.
no difference.
You already stated last month it was about $4,000.
Different.
It's already said last month that this amounts to about $4,000.
Right.
That could have benefited the department, that is not coming to the department. That's what we were informed of last month.
Benefit the department? I don't know, we didn't spend, how we came upon that is that last year, our budget was that amount, 132,000, I need my eyeballs. 132,867, okay? So last year we were gauging it off of last year and this year's budget, okay? Well, last year, we didn't spend all our money. So that money, $3,500 in somewhat, went back down. Of course, that was a COVID year. So of course, we could not get stuff in and couldn't get it built, okay? But this has been a common theme right here. It's been a common theme with the fire department, is that we look at it and then all of a sudden October, November comes around and then we've got about, $20,000 to spend, and so then we rush to put that all in to make sure that we don't give any money back to the county, right? I mean, that's the whole thing. So that's when the wants of the fire department came in. And like they put out last month to you, because they have now heard all of this too, just like you guys have, is that, and plus from Ed Kester, well, if you give me the money, I'll spend it. And I was like, well, that's one of our responsibilities here, to be good stewards of your money.
So what you did was waited too long to spend the money you had.
No.
Yes, that's what you just said.
COVID.
You just said that, and it was said at the last meeting that you weren't at, that,
Spending money, they have needs, one at a time, have needs.
Which we try our darndest. We try our darndest. And I don't think they can be named. I don't think anybody, of the firefighters in here or anybody else can name the needs that have not been met.
All the rope rescue gear is expired.
All of our water, freshwater gear and ice water gear is expired.
Okay?
Which we just were told on last month.
And so whose responsibility is that to bring to the board?
you're supposed to listen to us.
Our chief and our assistant
First time,
chief.
first time we ever heard of it.
No. 180 is practically falling apart in some ways.
Well, we can play the what if game. We can play the what if game all day. If this, if that, if whatever. We can play the what if games. And we already had that discussion. We've already had that discussion with your chief and your assistant chief. We can play the what if games. What if this happens? What if this happens? What if this happens?
It's not a what if, it's happening
How many
now.
people?
How many people in here can do the job that our fire department does?
Nobody can.
They walk out.
How many firefighters you got here?
We need every one of our fire departments.
Sure.
You have 21 on this department, right?
Okay, well, there you go, there's your answer, there's 21 in here that can do that job.
How many can do, I can't fight a fire.
No, there's 21
There's 21 firefighters here, that's,
Firefighters.
That are qualified.
They're trained, they know how to do it. But the average person that walks our fire department, we can't do it. I'd be good to find out.
I can't do it. We're not asking you to do it. We're not asking you to do it. What we're trying to do is we're trying to provide, you're attacking us, which I have no idea why you're trying to attack us. Do you realize the equipment that they have is probably better than anybody else in Jackson County?
Do you realize that it could always be better? And you blew $4,000 for next year?
And we're trying.
And you wasted $4,000 for next year?
How do you say we wasted?
Because,
We never got it.
right, because you said, nah, we don't need that. The county was going to give it to you. It was going to be in your budget.
But why? If it's still, your name, sir?
Leonard Allen?
Leonard? It's still, we're trying to be good stewards of all of Jackson County, third district, for the money. We've looked at the budget over the last 5 years. Over the 5 years. We have added new equipment. We've added tankers, a brush truck, now a brand new medical truck that you guys see out there. Okay, we have added that. We've made repairs. We've updated to a new engine. 180 is next on the list. It's a 5-year plan. We've got it.
But
things like that.
I still don't see how giving back $4,000 that could have gone to that is because that money went to another department, went
Realize that
somewhere
it can't
else.
go to that. You realize that per year, we can only keep in our equipment reserve 25%.
Spend it.
hold on, stop,
Yeah.
let me correct your statement there. We can only transfer 25% of the
Yeah.
year.
Spend it. Don't wait till the end of the year to spend it. Spend it
And to buy tires.
when you
Wanna
get
address
it.
that, Neil?
I've got a plan right here for you once we get to it.
Okay.
Of where we're gonna be at by the end of the year, from the best I can figure, so we can take care.
But how is that, how is that being a good steward of our money instead of using it for this district like it was meant? You sent it back and it went to some other county agency.
Well, I remember, I've been on the board for 7 years. We've held back 25% every year.
How does that answer my question?
So that's what goes toward the equipment reserves.
That's what they're gonna
For-
be buying this
That's
new
the-
truck.
that's the
For
max.
reserves.
That's the max that we can do.
Right, but
Rest is-
you can spend that rest of that money during the year.
You can spend the reserve anytime you need.
But that $4,000 that you gave back, that did not go back to us. It went to another department. So you're saying
No, you
you're,
probably saw a little bit of decline. I mean, I saw it.
Mine went up $40.
So, I mean, no, but if you look at the rural fire department,
Mine went up $40.
then you probably saw a little decrease.
No, mine went
From
up
last year.
$40 for Hoyt Rural Fire District on
So,
the first.
so that means that your property values went up that much?
Yes,
Oh, well,
yeah.
I
But-
know mine went down $3.97.
but it would have done exactly the same thing whether you kept that money or not. It would not have changed that amount. It wouldn't have changed that amount.
Okay.
Can I ask another question?
Well, this gentleman was, had his hand up.
So the budget for 24 is the same as 23, is that what you're
Yes.
saying?
Yep.
And did I hear the treasurer say that's been steady for 4 years,
I said it's been revenue neutral for the past.
revenue neutral? Now, you have to consider inflation, so you're getting a 4 to 7% cut each year. Why didn't you keep the $4,000 to compensate for the inflation cut?
We believe as a board, to be good stewards of people's money, is that the budget that we had in 2023 would suffice us for 2024.
But it's a cut. Inflation, they're paying more
It's
for
not a
gas,
cut.
they're paying more for tires, they're
It's
paying
not
more
a
for
cut, we
everything.
didn't
It's a
cut
cut.
anything, we just did not accept the additional amount.
And that's a disappointment.
So we didn't budget for the inflation.
Yes, well,
You couldn't have.
Last year, we sent money back because we couldn't put it all away.
Why did you send money back?
We couldn't put it all in, we had over
Why?
25%.
Why?
Hold on, Jeff.
no, it can't go anywhere else, it has to be spent. We put the max equipment reserve last year, but then it had to be spent. And then we had to send that money back because we couldn't get it spent. Because we, like I said, every year, we put 25% in our equipment reserve. That's the max we can do.
Okay, so that's great. You put it in a reserve. And I'm not trying to be combative. I'm just trying to understand the process here. Because I've worked with a lot of things where you have to do that. You know, you got a budget and you have to use the money. Any place that I've worked at with the government or major corporations, the people that handle the money usually go out and try to get that stuff in. So we got,
Oh, believe me, we tried.
well, not
Just didn't
apparently
happen.
not real hard if you've got out of date equipment. I deal with out of date equipment every year.
And the equipment that we have, the equipment that I believe we have, and you will address that a little later, and if it's out of date, then it needs to be brought to our attention.
Couldn't money be spent.
So,
All the way
as,
until October.
It all is.
That is a part of the problem we had, was the gear they sent us that we had ordered was, was COVID delayed, and then when they got it, it was the wrong stuff, it was brush gear, if I remember correctly, we had to return it. I believe it was new brush pants than fire gear, and so we had to return it, and they did not reship the correct stuff till after the first till after the first of the year. So, and just so you, because most of you firefighters pretty much all know this, but January, the first meeting in January, we get our budget. And Jeremy, you can vouch for this year at every meeting, Ed and Jeremy, before that it was Randy Smith. They say our goal is to put 25% of our budget into equipment reserve. Now, is it saying we can't spend it? No, that's our goal. So as a board, we say, okay, we're gonna try and operate on 75% of our budget, okay? I use the word stewardship. You guys use what you want. So by doing that, this year it's not gonna happen because we have a brand new truck sitting out there. We didn't go into equipment reserve to buy it, we just took it out of this year's budget, along with a couple other larger items, the CPR, what's the name of that device? Auto pulse CPR machines to help, because, and the reason, we talked about that a year ago, and it fell through the cracks. There was a demo supposed to happen, it didn't happen, so we just now finally got it. If we could have got it a year ago, it would have been $5,000 cheaper. They went up $5,000. The reason we bought that is because emergency calls, CPR, I'm CPR certified, I'm not to the level that Jeff is and all the firefighters are. I know what it takes to do CPR, chest pumps for 2 minutes, I'm exhausted, okay? And understanding that it's hard to get a large number to medical call in the middle of the day, the idea of that was so that they could use this device so 1 or 2 people could manage a scene and not require complete exertion. We're all getting, Father Time is kicking us all in the rear end. So, so that is a large purchase that was realistically, should have happened last year, but it just fell through the cracks. So at that case, that money would have been long gone, and we would have went into equipment reserve for about $10,000 to finish that purchase. It wasn't, we didn't reject anything that come to the table. Some of the things that we had purchased didn't come to fruition. We start talking, or I won't say we, Ed and Jeremy, and bring things to our attention in August. We start looking at where we are, what we've spent, and what we have left to spend before the end of the year. And we say, what are a list of things that you need? What are a list of things that you want? And when I use the words wants and needs, that's a prioritization. These are things that we have to have ASAP in the next year or two. These are things that would be nice to have. Hey, we tear a hose up in a grass fire, we have extra hose on hand. So they prioritize that. I don't know anything about what goes on these trucks. I can't even start the stupid things. But what I can do is say, okay, I trust Jeremy, I trusted Ed to say, what is it that is most important to you? And that's how we decide what they tell us. And everything they brought to us as a priority has been taken care of. This last year, like I said, I want to repeat myself, we had spent the money, the equipment that came in, I believe it was brush pants, I believe. They got to go back. And we're, as good stewards of the money, we're not gonna pay a bill because we experienced through COVID an 8, 9, 10-month delay on equipment. And that was boots, that was everything, fire equipment related, from the vendors. So, that being said, there was part of the reason that all that gap there took place. And so, we're gonna sit here till midnight tonight. We're gonna discuss $4,000. We're not gonna gain anything. The budget's set. Okay, that's the fact. The budget's set moving forward. So we're gonna move on to 2024. I hope you guys are all this excited next year in September when we do the budget.
Well,
yeah.
my point, you made my point for me.
Yeah.
Was that we could have had extra money. We could have done something else. We could have purchased other things to get around that and use the money that we had available to us. So.
No, that's not possible because we
Absolutely
had it
is
on
possible.
order. We didn't know it was gonna be bad
Okay.
until we had to return it.
Jeff,
So by that time, time ran out.
was that October,
So-
November when it showed up? Do you remember off the top of your head, Jeremy?
But I got that.
Yeah.
I got that. So we had a contingency, or we had something come up, and we lost that money. We know that we got inflation. We know that we're gonna have supply chain issues. So why would we, a little bit of extra that we may make up on our stuff?
Same thing that Jeff was saying, we were trying to be good stewards of the money that is,
I'm not faulting that. That's great. I appreciate that.
Because I think you guys are thinking that we are, you were told that this was cutting the budget, and we didn't cut the budget at all. And we weren't cutting the budget at all. All we did is not accept the revenue neutral rate.
Right.
And because we wanted to be good stewards of the money, and so we believe that the budget that we have this year will be sufficed for next year.
Mine's 25% to reserve.
Correct.
How much is in reserve? He's
200
reserved to buy that truck.
Buy what truck?
It's already bought.
Oh, it's already paid for. It's already paid for.
But you said you bought that without tapping into reserve.
Right.
So how much is in reserve? You take out 25% of the budget every year, for how many years?
In reserve.
This last budget, you should have like 33,000, 25% of 132 or whatever it was.
Oh, yeah, because.
In reserve, there's $236,735.03 at this point between the general fund and the first responder equipment reserves.
So what is that money gonna be used for?
Hopefully 180. Replacement.
Equipment purchase.
Oh, any kind of equipment.
See, I found out.
Anything is equipment.
Yeah.
You can say the coats are equipment. Their equipment is playing fire.
See, I was under the impression until last meeting that trucks were equipment. That's always been my impression. Did not realize you can tag anything equipment. So, but, it's kind of a mutual understanding with, at least with Ed and Jeremy, that's kind of tagged for trucks when possible. Obviously, this year we bought that truck, we tagged we took what was probably gonna be going to equipment reserve to help complete the purchase of the video equipment and the, CPR vest, yes. Thank you.
So you think your reserve of 236,000 is gonna buy that truck?
No,
No.
But we're putting
We're not
in,
there yet.
we're not there yet.
Right, so when did, I thought you said you're gonna, there's next on your list to buy.
We were told that it's a 5-year plan.
5-year plan.
5-year time from when?
Whenever
Five-year plan, gotta be a start date.
whenever our firefighters believe that it has to be done. And then if push comes to shove that we have to replace it sooner than that, then we can always borrow the money.
But if you use all the money in your reserves, you have zero.
Then we start all over again,
Start.
right? I mean, isn't that what you guys do with your home budget?
I use a reserve as a safety net.
when
don't
when I
use
started on the board 4 years ago, or excuse me, 7 years ago, we had a loan. That floored me. Because we're a tax funded. And somebody put words in my mouth that said, I said, never go in debt. I never said that. I said, my goal is we shouldn't have to go in debt. And
But I
so,
think that's what gets back to the point of everybody saying we gave back $4,000. But if we had a loan, why would we have given back money?
we don't have, we've increased $250,000 over the last 6 years. Plus,
By
look
not
at-
getting
but
the loan.
look at what you're looking at, the equipment wise. That's, we've accumulated equipment along with building up a cash reserve of $250,000. And also keep in mind, this is the only department in Jackson County that has a first responders fund. And I would appreciate it if somebody could tell me why we have it or when it come about. We believe it's because we used to house the ambulance out of here, so it was, we are the highest mill levy taxed funded department in the county. We have by far and away the best equipment, best operated department in the county.
And yet it takes 45 minutes for an ambulance to get here from Hoyt.
Well, that's
not working.
That's
a
Holton's
whole
fault.
different conversation. But we have a first responders fund and we left it like that. So when we look at our budget of 132,000, our total budget are those two budgets combined. First responders and the fire department. So it's not just 132,000, it's 179,000 total. And so, you know, we like I said, $4,000 is $4,000. To me, that's a lot of money. I think anytime we're spending, I sweat over my own budget, and if I'm spending somebody else's money, it's even worse.
So it kind of goes back to the saying that you don't want to go into debt, but you're going to have to get a loan to get
No.
maybe replaced.
No.
No, they have a loan, or they have a, something in place. We're the department's aware of the plan. And so, yes, we are working forward to replacing that truck. I don't know I haven't heard when they're planning to do it.
Well, it's on a 5-year plan, but I don't have a start date or anything.
There's not a start, and it's already 2 years out of service, I believe.
But to be fair, he said that taking out a loan would be worst case scenario if they had to replace
And I
it.
understand that.
But,
But I was wanting a start date and end date on this 5-year plan.
right,
You have a 5-year plan, we're gonna replace 180 in 5 years. Well, the 5th year is what date? Is 180 still operational? Everything's wrong with 180? Got problems with it?
It's 2 years out of
Jeremy
NFPA.
just said they've been talking about
Okay,
it.
so it's 2 years out. So if it's 2 years out of NFPA,
Is it 2 years out?
And the question is 180, it's a rescue truck. It is a rescue truck, it's not a firefighting.
Yes, it is.
It
Your
can be
ISO
used.
rating is dependent on that.
It can be used.
But your ISO rating is dependent
I
on
don't,
that.
and the ISO rating is for insurance purposes only, is that correct?
Everybody in here paying.
I understand, I am in the insurance business, I understand, okay, I understand, but I mean, the reason that it is because we bought one, but I mean, initially, it's set up as a rescue truck, right?
It is a rescue pumper.
That's all I want to clarify. And so, whether it's out of date or not, it still applies to our ISO rating, right?
Correct.
Okay.
which would be out of
And
date.
because we were told were told that the hierarchy of equipment was, and correct me if I was wrong, is 162 brass truck needed to be replaced first, and then 180 it needs to be replaced after that. That was the hierarchy that was informed to us as the board, correct? Okay, so we are in plans of replacing 162. Now, if that has changed, our chief or firefighters, you tell us where the priority needs to be. Does it need to be 180 or does it need to be 162? Because we all know what is the major calls that we have every year for fires. Brass fire, right? So that's why we are trying to update our fleet of grass trucks to try to provide the best equipment that we can. And we just updated the phone systems, right? On all three of the trucks, right? Well, the new truck already had it. So firefighters asked for it, we gave it to them. No problem.
So really 180 is not next in line, you're doing 160.
Well, that's what was told to us by the firefighters.
Is 162 on a 5-year plan too?
No. 162 should be, if we can, get it replaced next year. Is that correct? Is that correct? Yep. That's our plan, is for that, that's what Chief Kester wanted. That's what he told us our hierarchy was 162, even though 162 got a new engine, right? Or had it here a couple of years. We put a new engine and transmission in it.
Yeah, insurance,
Yeah, insurance paid for it because it caught on in a grass fire. So, but since it's a 1998, I believe it is. I can tell you exactly. But immaterial. Immaterial, but it does have a brand new, it has like a 2-year-old, 2 or 3-year-old engine and things like that. But that's what we were told. Replace 162. So our plans next year is 162 is going to be replaced. Unless that has changed and the firefighters tell us that 180 needs to come first before 162.
Can I,
So,
Wait a minute.
you bet.
He was up here.
Oh,
first.
I've been standing for a half hour to say something.
Go ahead. I'll wait. Go ahead.
Sorry, but I have a different perspective on all this. I'm new to the area. I got here 5 years ago. This is my third department. I've been taking fires for 30 years, 30 plus years.
Thank you.
When I came in, the one thing that I noticed about this department was how well run it was. And that goes a lot to Chief Kester, but also goes to everybody here. And over the time, like several people have said, you become a family, and I have a lot of respect for Ed Kester, and I think he's pretty awesome, like everybody here has said. However, Ed's not here right now. And, we could just move on and Jeremy would be a kick-butt chief, right? I would support Jeremy all the way. However, I think the problems are just gonna come right back in that Ed has the board, because it didn't start off a couple weeks ago. This has been going on, whatever it is, and I don't even know what it is, but it's been going on for a while, And I know Ed is not a liar, and I have a great deal of respect for him, and I gotta tell you what, he cares greatly for every single member of this department, and I trust him with my life. That being said, if it isn't somehow made right with Ed, if Ed doesn't come back, and Ed's not happy, then I think my 30 years, and I'm up, and I'm gonna be done. So, that's my piece. Do you have any questions?
I think your biggest problem is not necessarily the money, but the respect you owe these guys. They're the ones that come to our rescue when we need them. And we respect them, and I think the board needs to respect them. You say you do. That's a little different than action.
I just want to say a couple things. One is being a steward of taxpayer money is a good thing. We saw in the whole reporter last week that the mill levy's not going up. County's not gonna raise money taxes. But they're gonna get more taxes because property valuations went up pretty significantly. Now, being a good steward the way you guys were, the money would go back to us, the county would refund us money. That's not gonna happen. So, you know, that's something you might take a lesson from the county.
Well, all I can tell you is, I don't know where the money's gonna go.
I'm making a comment. Dan,
Yeah.
just listen to me. We've been listening to you all night long, and you listen to us. That's why these people are here, for you to listen, not for you to tell. You represent all of us. We're here because we're disappointed. We're disappointed in the leadership that was shown from the board because we had problems in our fire department that we never had before. Or if they've been festering, they've never been taken care of. That's why we're all here. And we're gonna come back again, and again, and again, and again, until you guys do the right thing, and get it settled, and get it running smoothly again. That's what we want. We're not here,
Let us
we're
know
not
what
here
the
to
right thing
criticize
is.
you. We're not here to criticize you or attack you. We're here to let you know that we're not happy with you. We like you. We like everybody on here. But we want everybody to get along good. We want you guys to have this thing running like a machine so that we can get taken care of our houses and our homes. That's why we're here. We're not here to hear justifications. I can stand here and give you justifications all night long for all kinds of things. Even while my phone's ringing right now. I'm not cutting myself off as no time, but I don't want to take this too long because I think we've been talking about this long enough. But I also think that the other thing is, somehow, some way, I've heard two completely different stories. One last week, one last month, and one here, and so somebody wasn't telling something quite straight. Now, and that's all I'm saying, but it's not up, I can't go out and fix this for you. You guys gotta fix it for us. That's all we're asking you to do. The money's already, but we understand that can't, that's gotta be next year before that happens. We all understand. But I think everybody here wants this board to do better. Because if you do better, it's gonna be better for our community. If you let this go on and you let all this dissension happen, somewhere down the line, it's gonna cost somebody a life. Now, will that be directly your fault? No. Nobody's ever gonna blame you personally for that. But those things happen. So, what we want is for you guys to fix this. We don't wanna have to come back month after month after month to check up on you. But we will. We all will. And I think there's some of us here that wanna be put on a list, a notice, that if you have a meeting, that we get sent that. That's part of COMA too. We can request it. Everybody here can request that anytime you have a meeting, we have to be notified. And that's not posting it on what you have to notify us. We let you know that stands for a year. So I want to be notified. My wife wants to be notified. And if anybody else wants to be notified, you can let these folks know. And then they have to, by law, notify us all whenever you have a meeting. So we just want you to do the right thing for the community. Make it right. Do something to fix it.
Stop acting like little children.
That's all we want you to do.
Just be adult. Get it settled.
And that's all I gotta say.
I got one.
You have your hand up earlier.
Yeah, let me address one thing real quick, please.
Go ahead.
As far as the notice goes, I talked to the whole recorder, that's something I was gonna bring up tonight, just so you know, so we can be done with the notification date. We can post the minutes, send the minutes to the paper, and hold recorder, sorry. We can send that, they put them in there for free, so that's one thing I was gonna mention to the board here tonight. So I have a plan in place for that. In that, when the minutes are posted, it has in there the next meeting date. Next meeting date and time, which is always the first Tuesday of the month at 7 p.m. Wednesday, sorry.
What I understand, you can't post the meeting or the minutes until they've been approved, so they're a month behind.
That is correct.
That is correct.
They're not approved minutes.
I just know in the committee I'm in, we don't
don't post the minutes until after they've been approved.
City's the same way.
Yeah, the city's the same way.
Yeah, they'll just be a month behind.
They have to
But
be-
we have a meeting every Wednesday, so. But anyway, okay. One more comment out here.
So I have a question. So to bounce off the guy that said if it went wrong tonight, he'd walk after 30 years. What's your plan if the rest of the department decides to walk? Are you gonna step up and take that call? Are you gonna
That's
put your
not our
wording
department,
up?
that'll be up to the fire chief.
So you're gonna wait 45 minutes for a fire truck or an ambulance or somebody to come and help you and your family? Cause I don't wanna wait 45 minutes. I don't even live here and I don't wanna wait 45 minutes.
We have volunteer fire departments, we have volunteer firefighters, we are all volunteers here. We are all volunteers here, and we try to do the best that we can for the firefighters. Okay?
When's the last time you performed CPR on somebody?
It would have been about 30 years ago when I was in the service.
So,
You
I'm
never
going to
answered the
bed.
question.
40 years ago, I believe it's 40 years ago. Down.
And I'll walk
You
out.
never answered the question.
What's your
Are
plan
all
to
of you
make
guys
this
gonna
right?
stand out and go fight the fires?
Are you gonna climb in the truck?
You're all volunteers.
Volunteers on the board. We are not qualified
What's your plan, what's your
firefighters.
plan to make this right? Can you just, let's get to the plan. What is the plan to make this right?
I don't know what is right. What do you guys want to happen here?
We've been telling you all
I've been
that.
telling you, our fire chief,
It's already left.
Okay,
That
so we gotta find a replacement for him, right?
How many more people are gonna have to walk to get you to open
No, no,
your
no.
eyes to see?
No. I mean,
You're
he's
not
already
hurting
resigned.
yourself
What are we gonna
or hurting
do?
your
You
community.
never accepted it.
you
So-
never accepted it.
Tabled it.
So we're taking, we'll get to that. We'll get to that on.
Let him move on then. Let him move on to the continue meeting.
Yeah, we'll be here all night. Oh, go ahead, man.
Well, I'm a newbie too. I don't know anything about the history of what's been going on. But what my question is, if there's something that's been going on for a while, that there's a lot of conflict or misinformation or whatever about, do you have resources from a firefighters association or something that come in and help a department figure out what's going wrong? A neutral mediator, consultant kind of resources from a firefighters association. That is just a question.
I guess the answer to that is no, we don't have one.
I would say no. No, we do not have that. We don't have a mediator.
You don't have.
We don't have a mediator. This is the first time that our chief has resigned.
No, I
Without
hear
prior
that.
knowledge.
Do you know that you don't? Or would that be something worth checking into if there's a state organization or even a national organization that helps? Because most professional organizations have some kind of something like that.
Isn't that the county commissioner's job?
No, this would be somebody completely neutral from outside that comes in and interviews people and figures out where the problems are, how they may be started, and gives you a plan for addressing it.
I still don't know what we're addressing.
Well, that's part of what they help you figure out.
I still don't know what we're
That's
addressing.
what they help you figure out.
If Ed Kester did not come back did not come back to the meeting and he gave his resignation. So,
You're not understanding
Oh, I
what I'm
guess not.
saying, I don't think. And I'd be more than happy to research whether or not there is such a thing. If people aren't aware of it as members of that association, who would I talk to about what I find out?
Kent State Fire Marshal's office.
Thank you.
Steve, did you used to work for the marshal's office? Is there anything like that offered?
You can probably, if you talk to Brenda, she can probably get you in touch with somebody. I never had any one-on-one with that type of situation, kind of new. But Brenda, ask Brenda. If you need her phone number, I'll get it to you.
Any other visitor comments?
I do have one. Just, you keep saying that it's up to the chief and the assistant chief to come to you with their needs. And I agree, it's their department, it is up to them. But what is wrong with you as board members after your meeting every month going, okay, this is what we spent, this is what we have, this is where we're at budget-wise. What can we do that they haven't asked for? What might be a possible need? Do we need extra hose? Do we need extra gloves? Do we need, because hose isn't gonna go to waste unless it sits for 3, 4, 5 years, but that's not gonna happen with grass season and everything else. It shouldn't all be just on the chief and the assistant chief to come to you guys. Your charge as board members to be the steward of their money is to go to your department and say, what else can we do? This is where we stand. This is the money we have. What can we spend it? What, maybe it's not a need, maybe it's just a want at this point.
Well, we do that every year.
But not wait a year.
No.
Do it every month. And that's where I think, I was on the city council for 26 and a half years. Did lots of budgets. So that's why we have an accountant. We have an accountant, he doesn't, well, he works with the city every month, he gets paid every month. But you guys could find an accountant that would come, even on a quarterly basis, help you guys, because it was said at the last meeting, you guys didn't have the information you needed on the budget and what all of this meant and everything. An accountant would have that knowledge. Knows the tax laws for the fire board, what you can spend it on out of what account, the firefighter account versus, first responder account versus general fund, how much you can transfer, when you can transfer, how much you have to keep, wants and needs, bonuses, all that kind of stuff. Can meet with you guys quarterly, see where we're at, and then yearly, at least when you start talking about budget, have them come in, look at where you say, okay, what do we got coming up the next year? It's what the city does. We have our accountant, the city starts the budget process in May or June. We start having workshop meetings. The accountant comes in and presents our budget, looks at the budget and says, okay, this is where you're at. What do you got coming on the rest of the year? What other long-term projects might you come up? City is now, I'm sure, debt-free, correct, Larry?
Yeah.
We've paid off all our KDHE
Close.
loans.
We're real close.
Close on the KDHE loan.
We had 3 KDHE loans, thanks to some aggressive council members and financial and planning, and we made additional payments. The city is debt-free, almost debt-free. That's very good accomplishment for the city in Jackson County.
Debbie, as Jeff said, that was his goal when he started, and that's where we're at. We're debt-free.
Right.
And he would tell us that we should be more knowledgeable about equipment and stuff. Well, the chief and assistant chief is who keeps us aware of when the other members of the fire department tell them, hey, we need this, or this has gone wrong. I mean, that communication comes back to us, and that's what we look at. We don't need an accountant. We rely on them to know if a hose is bad or and it needs replaced or
Well, I'm not saying
whatever.
you don't need an accountant to tell you if a hose is bad. No, your chief and your
That's what
firefighter's
you
gonna tell you
started
that.
to say.
The accountant is gonna know the tax laws and how you transfer and help you plan and know how you've got a 5-year plan for this truck. Okay, you can take so much out of equipment reserve, or you can take so much out of general fund. That's what an accountant does. Like I said, I was on the city. You've been on the city for a lot of years. You came to the city council meetings. You've watched us work our budgets. That's why an accountant is invaluable, to know what you can do and what you can't. And it just keeps the accountant is unbiased. They're just telling you dollars and cents. That's all they're doing. And that way, when the budget comes up, they can explain, if you do this, this happens. If you do this, this happens. It's up to you guys to decide. But you've got your accountant that's gonna tell you, you said you didn't know when you gave back the $4,000, or did not, you didn't cut the budget, you just didn't accept the rate neutral rate. The accountant could have told you the ramifications of that down the road, which you guys said you didn't know at the time you made that decision. That's all I'm saying. To me, that's money well spent to keep things on the up and up.
Am I wrong to think that, am I understanding correctly, that you have a certain time you don't have
By the end of the fiscal year, December
If you got
31st.
all- you know that you got deadlines, why not do it before this? If I know I'm only have X number of dollars for every month, I'm gonna buy what I can, what I have to have, what I have to. Why can't you do that?
That's what we
Well,
were
we're
saying
gonna
earlier.
discuss
We
here a little
start
bit later.
early to try to do that before the end of the year. It doesn't always work out, as Jeff said, the equipment comes back, we don't get an invoice, we can't put it into our budget for that year. You kinda screw it, you know what I mean? And that's all because of supply chain,
Stuff
you
you
know?
can't control.
Yeah, it just been something new to deal with.
Debbie, to address a little bit what you said, Neil does, in my opinion, an amazing job. And we rely, as far as questions, as far as transfers, that's all done through the county treasurer's office. So he goes up there regularly, visiting with her, preparing the budget for next year, you know, get any information she's available. And again, being stingy, that's a free service.
Right.
And so we know the rules as far as the transfer side of it and those types of things. We already know those rules.
They also audit them once a year.
Yeah, they audit his books every year. And Julie also, she's considered an assistant, and her knowledge from the banking side as well is a big asset. That's part of the reason we have 7 people up here instead of 5.
And I wasn't
So-
slamming anybody's
Right,
opinion,
I know,
or
but they're-
anybody's abilities, I know that.
But
But the same with the city, I
the
mean.
county treasurer is a free service for us to lean on as far as questions and that type of thing. And like I said, they have, I don't know if she audits them or they have a third-party auditor. My guess is it's a third party, but
It's third party.
Probably third party. I turn them the books every March.
Right.
So.
Between the end of February, first part of March, I take the books up there and give her all the receipts, statements, everything. And they, I don't know who they have on it, but they give it.
And I wasn't slamming your ability at all, that was not my intention, I'm just saying from the city standpoint, we have an awesome city clerk that does that very well too. But we also still have an accountant, because that's the accountant's job, to know the laws and as far as what cities of the third class can do and all of that. So, that was the only place I was going there, that way, that gives you guys don't have to spend your time going up to the treasurer, county treasurers or whatever. It just, you have a person on call that can come in quarterly, at least yearly, to help you with the budget and know where you stand. Merely a suggestion, wasn't meaning to doubt anybody's ability at all.
Any other comments?
Yeah, I got one. I was chief here for 25 years, and I see one person doing all the talking up here, maybe 2. What's the rest of the board got to say about this? I haven't heard anything from them. I don't know what the opinions are.
Well, I think me personally, I feel like we budget very well.
I don't think we're talking about the budget.
I don't think we're talking.
Keep going back to the budget.
Keep going
That's
back to
not
the
what
budget.
we're
We're getting back to where we didn't accept the extra funds, if that's how you wanna look at it. But we do budget, we budget very well.
Again, we're not
I
talking
said
about the
kudos
budget.
to Ed, because he got us on a plan where we rotate things, so you kinda know what your expenses are gonna be for the year. Hey, I can do that with my personal stuff. I can go and lay out a plan. I can lay you out a 5-year plan of what my budget will look like. Will I meet every one of those? Maybe not meet every decision, but I'll tell you what, it will be damn close to it. I feel like this board is the same way. We budget, and I think we come close. I ain't saying we meet every deadline that is put before us just because we don't know what the other side holds. That's me. I just feel like what choice has been made, I know we can't undo, and so I think we have to move forward with it.
We had a fire chief that left, our community, serving our community for a reason. There's a reason why our fire chief resigned, and I think the community is interested to hear from the board on how this is going to be fixed.
We have a problem with personalities or something, that there's a problem. When you got people wanting to walk out, one's already left.
Have you guys talked to Ed?
I personally haven't.
And has he gave you
But
any?
he has talked to people.
Well, I'm just saying, you know, you guys are sitting here, I'm hoping
Yeah,
some of you guys have talked to Ed. I don't know if he's expressed his opinion about.
He did that night. He did last month. He expressed his opinion last month.
And he also put his resignation on the table.
Which was declined, and I don't know
With-
I don't know what the board is intending to do. I don't hear from the board and what they're intending to do.
Somebody
I have to fix this.
Hang on here, somebody's saying something. What was that now?
I said, because his resignation was not accepted, I'm interested to hear from the board what they're going to do about our fire chief and fixing this issue.
Okay,
Well,
I will speak up. I know Ed, I have fought fire with him, I have walked in the fire with him. And I think it stems from, he is a very passionate man, he gets very loud, he gets very angry. But it's usually because somebody's doing something that's either gonna endanger them or somebody else. So he gets a little heated when he thinks he's not being heard. I think this may be where this stemmed from in the first meeting. He was not feeling like he was being heard. And I'll be the first one to say, in that meeting, I said, if we can't settle this, and we can't do something, we're gonna lose him and the department. I'll admit to that. And it's just because he is passionate. We have Jeremy sitting over here for the last however has stepped up to the plate. And he is mentally exhausted. I've talked to Jeremy, I love him. I hate to see him going through this.
Amen.
Amen.
Why can't the committee?
He is doing the best he can do. He has talked to Ed. You know, he feels like he's between a rock and a hard place. Speak up, Jeremy, if I'm wrong. You know, if he goes one way, he feels like he's not being loyal to Ed, because Ed has taught him everything he knows. In the other way, he feels like he's not being loyal to, if he steps away, then he's not being loyal to you guys.
But somebody has to step away before you guys fix the way you treat them.
And like I said, I don't know that, I think we all love our firefighters, I really do.
Andy and Neil have been the ones that have come to us and said thank you
And I'm a little more
for
passionate.
helping us and taking care of us. Angie and Neil are the two on the board that have come to us and officially said thank you.
But I'm just saying that I guess I'm a little more passionate too because I've done it, you know where it's coming from. I just feel like Ed felt like at that meeting, he wasn't being heard and he wasn't being, in a way, respected for his views, I guess. But,
So what's the
All
board
in-
gonna
all
do to
in
keep that
said-
from happening to Jeremy?
huh?
What's the board gonna do to keep that from happening to that man right there?
As I said,
If it happened to one man, is it gonna happen to the new one? He's already mentally.
and like I
You're
said,
not listening.
I don't know really what it's gonna take to get, and it depends on what we decide. But
That's what I'm saying. You guys talk to him. As he said, I will come back if.
I'm sorry, but
He
it's
left
not this
because of
group's
the
job to talk to him and make this work. You're the board, you got two problems. One's a budget, it's over with, worry about it next year, you know, and maybe take the money next year so your 25% will be more, so you can take care of some of this old equipment. Leave that alone, folks. You've got a morale problem with this fire department. You're in danger of losing good people who do a dangerous job for no money, and you, the board, need to fix the morale problem. Suck it up, act like big people, and fix it.
I agree. The board kiss butt and get it back. That's all there is to it.
I'm just
the equipment, but Jeremy's doing a wonderful job, but we don't wanna lose who we got. We don't wanna lose who we got, we don't wanna lose anyone.
Jeff, you got something?
I missed the reason that Jeff gave from going from a 5-member board to a 7-member board.
Well, we went from, because Neil took Jerry's spot, and
I
Julie
came on board.
and the county commissioners approved it, puts 2 people with book knowledge for the accounting purposes.
Which gave us an even number of board members.
And the county approved a 7th position, and that position was open for a little over a year.
Technically, our bylaws will allow us to have 9 members.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, but then, and then,
Well, the reason they went to 7 is because we have 5, and Neil came on in order to let Jerry help him with the books and show him everything, and that's why we ended up with the 7th one, because Jerry was still a voting member. We just had to change the bylaws to go to 7 members, because the county commission requested that we have an odd number. That
To
was
avoid
the purpose
ties.
of going to 7, and we just stayed there.
And then Jerry resigned, of
And then
course.
Jerry resigned at the end of his term.
So then we only had 6, and then we added Angie.
All right, if you look outside right now, we've got smoke right here in Kansas that came all the way from, all the way across Canada. All those fire people are working. What if we have a major fire here and our crew has walked out? What's gonna happen to us? Are we gonna be like Canada? When we're driving right here, we've got to have rain. If we don't have rain, we get thunderstorm in here with lightning, everything around it will go up in flames. Your insurance company, what, the bank, anything, it all could go up in flames if we have just one storm. We have our firefighters.
Well, I don't believe that you'll find one board member of all of us. I know Brandy is the only one that said that Angie and Neil are the only ones that said thank you. But I remember all the way through here, I've made comments, and I know I've been making comments to you, everything else, that we can't do what you guys do.
Then why don't you tell us more?
So what
you did in front of the public is what you did.
You did what?
Councilman, you wanna look good.
Oh, no. They know. Ask Jeff Lossler. I've always told them what you guys have done. Most of them. Okay.
So,
Jeff.
All I got to, we're just rehashing. Do you guys have a plan? If you have a plan, can we just move on with this board meeting so the community can hear what the plan is?
That's fine.
Are you guys good with that? Everybody good with that?
Yes.
All right, next on the deal is a report from Assistant Chief.
Interim fire
Chief.
Before I get into that, I just got a couple things I wanna lay out.
Can you speak up a little bit?
I came in here in 2008 under Bailey. You know, John taught me a vast amount. I've worked in multiple capacities. I've done this, I did EMS full-time as a paramedic, I've worked full-time as law enforcement, I run my own business, I've done all kinds of things. The last month has been the most stressful month of my life with things. I have lost more sleep over this place right here than I have anything else in my life.
And we shouldn't have to be going through that.
Because it's the unknown, it's I have a family here. You know, I have 18 people that, you know, rely on me now. I have Ed that I'm terrified of disappointing. I have a community that I'm afraid of failing. You know, I'm doing the best I can to hold everything and everybody together. And I don't have an answer for what's right, what's wrong, what's indifferent. I'm just trying to keep everybody here together.
So we hear what he's doing, what you guys doing? Any of you?
I appreciate the job he's done. He's called me and I've helped him through whatever he's needed. And they only got tire, it's $1,000 to get it fixed. You know, any of us board members tell them to go, you know, get it done, 'cause you can't drive a truck on a flat tire. I mean,
Yeah, we
so,
don't know.
those guys, and they know that it's 3 o'clock in the morning, they get it done, and they, at 7 or 8 the next morning, they give us a call. I mean, they're not, you know, the guys use common sense, I mean, that's all. I mean, he still thinks for himself. I mean, if he's got a question as to what the board thinks or something, they either text the whole board or they ask us. And so, I think, you know, in the last month, Jeremy's done a hell of a good job.
I don't think there's anybody here saying he's not doing a good job, but he's losing sleep. I think he needs some reassurance of what he's doing is the way to go. And that's what I'm saying, is he needs some assurance that he's gonna do the community right. He's gonna do his family right.
Well, I would say this, Steve, not to single you out, but I would say I support, just like I supported Ed. The board can work on its continuity, and we will do that. That's easy. That's an easy thing for us to work on as individuals. Jeremy has the full support of the board, and I think it would do him well for you guys to, and I'm sure you have individually or maybe as a group, because his concern is, and we're gonna address this under old business. I've had conversations with Ed. I know 2 other board members have. I have asked him what his intentions are, and he has made it clear to me, and that was on a phone conversation and one on a person-to-person. So we can't make Ed do what Ed doesn't want to do. I would like for Jeremy to feel like if we make the decision that we accept Ed's resignation, that he has your guys' firefighters, I know he has the community support, so he feels like, okay, I'm gonna make the sacrifice, already knowing his loyalty to Ed. Already knowing his loyalty to the city of Hoyt and the fire department. We all know that. But if he says, okay, I'm gonna accept this chief's job and he's gonna lose 16 firefighters, he thought he lost sleep last month. You know? And so I think as board members, we've already committed to the idea that we have to be on the same page. We have to be 7-0 in step. We've already had that conversation for us. Okay? We can agree to disagree. We have conversations, but at the end of the day, we make a decision and we do what we think is best from the board standpoint. I've known Jeremy a long time. I don't know how he gets done what he gets done, and that's before he's a fire chief. But that being said, we are committed as a board to make sure that we continue to support financially all the needs physically possible that we can. As a board, we need to work better as a unit, yes, and we will. I will promise you that. So, but Jeremy's stress comes from the standpoint, and I don't want to put words in your mouth. He just said he doesn't want to let you guys down, he doesn't want to let the community down. And so, him knowing that him being the next man up and being a firefighter, next man up is so important. And so, he's the next man up in leadership. And so, him being shown that support puts his head on a pillow tonight and says, I can rest assured that I'm going to have 20 firefighters at the next call. And then he can move forward with his leadership style. Is it going to be different than Ed's? Probably. I know Ed's personality. I've known him my entire life, been my neighbor. I know Jeremy's personality, a lot different, and I think you guys will all agree with that. I think when we move forward with this decision, we cannot force anybody to take a job they don't want, for whatever reason. So when we move forward, we have to all recognize that Jeremy, being the person that he is, has filled in the last month, and I think admirably, just like what Mike said. But also, I think he has earned and deserves the respect and the support from all the guys behind him. And whatever that leadership looks like to support him, that will work itself out down the road. But I think that takes the stress off of him as well. Because I know failure for Jeremy is not something he wants to consider. And so, and that's on the firefighters to decide amongst themselves and individually and as a group. But I will, from a personal standpoint, you know, when Ed asked me to be on the board, Ed and Mike Schultz asked me to be on the board. And I told them at the time when they asked me, I said, there's two things you want to know about me. I'm a fiscal conservative and I'm not a yes man. I told them, and they both said, I said, you understand that? And Ed said, yes, I know. I said, Ed, you and I are going to lock heads. And we have hit heads once in a while. But we walk away and agree to disagree or move on down the road. And there's never been any animosity between Ed and I. That being said, I'm going to shut my mouth. But I wanted, because we're dodging the question of what are we going to do? That's what we're going to do. We're going to have to move on to the next man up, because you can't force it. And so the next man up, if we go that route, most likely we can't. It's got to be discussed and it's got to be agreed upon, which that could take place. But it's the elephant in the room. It really is. So
But I think the board has to realize, instead, you know, you have a conflict with Ed, everybody butts heads, you agree to disagree or whatever, okay? Who's to say this isn't gonna happen to Jeremy 6 months, 6 years down the road? We're back in the same position. That's why I'm asking, and I think a lot of people here, what is the board going to do to ensure what happened with Ed is not gonna happen to Jeremy?
Just like Jeff said. Just like Jeff said. Jeff said, we are going to have better continuity.
Okay.
Continuity, we're gonna work on ours and make sure that our volunteers know that we're here for them. And I don't know where that got crossed off on, because like I said, I've been on here as long as Jeff, got put on the same time. And I don't know where that wire got crossed. And believe me, I've been friends with Ed Kester for 30 years, you know, and personal friend, and had a conversation with him, just like Jeff has. And so, no matter what, the continuity, and that's why when I said that, is that I don't know where we got that the firefighters sit on this side and we sit on that side. Because I thought we were all for the same goal. I want the same goal. I want the best I want our firefighters to have the best equipment that we can afford, and to support them 100%. And I don't think you'll get a disagreement with any board member on here. We want to support you 100%, you guys, because none of us can do it. None of these guys can do it or want to do it. You guys are volunteering your time. How much time? I've made this comment, I know, several times, especially to Ed Kester. I can't believe on how much time you guys put into this department for no pay.
Every person in this room, if they took the time and got the training, could do our job. We choose to make time to run these calls.
Exactly. You choose to make that the answer to the call. And fantastic. For you. So that there's no discussion there whatsoever. And I don't know where that disconnect happened. I don't know what year it happened, or what month it happened, or whatever else. Because I know for a fact that all of us look up to you guys of what you do and the time that you spend here, keeping the equipment up, fixing things that break, and everything else like that. Nobody else can do it. You guys volunteer to do it. Nobody else wants to volunteer to do it. So, again, I want to re-emphasize that whole thing. And I don't know where the disconnect happened between that. So.
All right, I've got a couple things to discuss. 160 spent some time with Foster's. We had some engine lights come on, 160.
Yeah.
Yeah, it ended up with a hub sensor that was bad, that's covered under warranty. We did have a $107 bill from them. They found some wiring underneath the truck that was exposed. They took care of it. They billed us $107 for it.
So it's covered under warranty, but the bill was.
Hose testing.
That was a different deal.
Right.
Okay. Hose testing is done on the trucks. Both engines and both tankers are done. The only thing left is a shelf. We ran out of time to get it done. So it'll be slated for the first of this month to finish. The auto pulse came in.
What was that last one?
Hose testing.
They're
On
not
the
tested on the trucks,
On the
it's done.
On the
Still got
shelf,
the
it
shelf
should be
left
done.
here.
Okay, shelf
Still got the shelf stuff left.
I talked to Conrad yesterday, pump testing is scheduled for October, the middle of October. They still haven't got us a bill for the work they did on the truck. I got nothing there. 180.
That's what the pump testing.
The 3 pumpers. And that's really all I got.
Pump testing for 170, what are we,
140, 171, and 180 will be pump testing.
Yeah.
Okay, and your other one was, you said 2 weeks ago for Meredith.
It goes the 25th for decals, and then it should leave from there and go straight to Meredith.
Oh, okay. That's not the same one.
No.
25th, the decals, and it goes from there.
I chose to use a different decal place than I had used before. It got recommended from Jefferson County Sheriff. I went down and spoke with him. The price is $50 each, and I'm happy with their work. I'd rather give it to somebody that's just him and his wife that does it. It's their main business. I would rather give it to a small business than to a big company.
Give me the name, I've written on deaf. What was the name of the company?
It's called Killer Custom Wraps.
And then you say it goes where after that?
To Meredith.
Meredith?
Yeah.
For the lights and all that.
Oh, there's lights.
Get ready.
Do you move the stuff over, or are they doing?
We'll move the slide out and set the equipment up on our own, because then that way it's done the way we want it done. Everything else he'll.
There's storage on the side?
We'll arrange all of the equipment the way we want it, because I'm sure the first way we do it is not gonna be the way it ends up.
But you don't want, there won't be nothing left in that excursion when you're.
Correct, it will be stripped out. That's it.
Old business.
There was none last month, according to the minutes.
Okay, so the resignation is on as old business. And
Before we get to that, Mike, can I say something?
go ahead.
To address your concern about what's gonna happen if Ed doesn't come back. I just speak plain honest, so if this takes y'all off, that's fine. I guess you can be mad at me. But when a person storms out like that and throws a resignation on the table, I'm not inclined to chase after a person to force them to do something they don't wanna do. I don't see the point in that. That's not gonna solve any animosity issues. That being said, if Ed is willing to come back and talk through the issues with the board, I'm willing to listen. But I can't see myself, I know there's been other board members that talked to Ed. I'll be flat honest, I have not talked to Ed. But in my opinion, he needs to come back and talk to the board. Whether that's it probably needs to be an executive session since it's a personnel issue. I'm not gonna go where that needs to be, but that's my opinion as a board member. That I cannot force him to come back and do what he doesn't wanna do. And unless he's willing to come back and talk, I don't feel like I should have to go after him as a board member. If I'm wrong in that, you can ridicule me now. have been in charge of many bus drivers, different positions at school, and I don't take that kind of attitude or that kind of, the best I can think is attitude from people that, and not that I want to lord anything over anybody, but as being, I see it as the board is in charge of that because that's the way the hiring process goes around here. If you're gonna be that way to your boss, let me just put it in terms, if I were to do that to my boss and walked out and said, I'm done being transportation director, I quit, he's not gonna chase after me. No matter how good, I may be the best transportation director this district has ever seen, I'm not saying I am. But they're not, but my boss is not gonna come after me to say, beg me to come back to the job. He'll move on and find somebody else. That being said, all you firefighters, I've told many of you individually before that some of you are kind of new faces to me tonight. I'm sorry I haven't met all of you, but I do respect everything you do, getting up in the middle of the night, going to fire calls, going to medical calls, because I did it. I understand exactly what your sacrifice is. I used to be on the fire department. I left for personal reasons. I'm not gonna get into why I left, but it was not because of animosity with anything. It was issues that I had to deal with, and I couldn't continue on the fire department, okay? But if you haven't heard me yet, and I'm not doing this publicly, I have told other individuals, so if you think I'm doing this for show, I'm not. I completely respect you guys as volunteer fire department. That being said, whatever happens out of this, if you decide that you can't live with the decision of this board, whatever it may be, that again is upon you. That's your decision. So I see that Ed has made his decision and he hasn't come back. Now, however the motion goes, whatever it is, I'm willing to sit down and listen, but I'm not chasing people that leave like that. I see it doing no good, and that's my opinion. So there you go. That's my honest opinion. So if you want to ridicule me, go ahead.
Would it have not been wise at your special meeting that you had last week, that you would have contacted Ed and met with him in executive session and tried to work out the issues?
I believe I have. I've tried to talk to him one-on-one. Angie has talked to him one-on-one.
Okay.
Jeff has talked to him one-on-one.
So what was the response?
His response was I'm resigning.
Because
we have,
Plain and simple.
he's doing a wonderful job, no one's saying he's not.
So.
What we need is for peace and calm,
that's-
and our firefighters to be happy.
Well, to that effect, as far as moving on, what am I gonna do not to let it happen again? I'm gonna do what I've been doing. I'm gonna support the fire department from this position the best I can. Are we gonna have smooth sailing, no rough waters? No, that's just, thank you, it's life, yes. It's a very good way to put it. I can't promise there won't be any more animosity. I hope we can head it off, that it doesn't get to this point again in the future. But as far as it comes up, we've got to deal with it at that point. And there's things that I know that I can't say because it's been an executive session, and that's where I'm gonna leave it. Again, that's my opinion. So if you wanna ridicule me for it, go ahead, but I will not chase after somebody that up and leaves a meeting like that, leaving everybody, even the board, because I had no idea he was gonna resign last month. And I can't chase after somebody like that. Being in a position of leadership, that's not gonna help. But if he's willing to come back and talk, I will listen.
And believe
There
me,
you go.
when I talked to Ed Kester last week, I said, you're really gonna give up 20 years on the service. 20 years or however long he's been as fire chief and on the fire department, probably longer than that. Probably longer than that. And I said, you're really gonna give all that up to the department that you built? He said, yep. His words, not mine.
Well, you guys have asked
You
us
have to
several.
wonder what it took for a man who's invested 20 years to walk away.
32.
32 years.
I don't know what it would be, what it would be.
Something pretty drastic.
Because nothing, and like I said, you're more happy to listen to the video.
Obviously, it wasn't during this session then. Somebody said something before or after, and you guys need to behave properly at all times, not just during tape.
I do not know what that would be, because I.
Apparently, somebody should.
Well, the board is
I
asking.
had
us
a
if we
one-on-one
want to quit.
conversation with you guys, I'm telling you exactly what I had. I had a one-on-one conversation with the man. He told me he was not coming back. His resignation was. So I don't know what you guys have heard, but I had a one-on-one conversation with him.
Just a quick question, has the board as a whole asked Ed to come back? Individual, but have you written him a letter or something, said, hey, we would like you to
That's
come
not
back?
our job.
Whose job is it?
You said on public record, you give a shit about the fire department.
No. But when somebody comes in and quits in your office, what do you
Did
say to
state
them?
that on public
But
record?
you're
We
making
talked
the
about-
assumption that
shit,
you are
you
the
care.
boss of something.
You said
You're
that.
a board,
we're
you're a
rehashing
board
the same
that
thing.
administers.
We're
not
rehashing the
you're not
same thing,
hiring
right?
anybody.
We're rehashing
You don't
the
pay
same thing.
anybody a salary, Damon. And Neil, I wanna disagree, with you. You're my neighbor, but I wanna disagree with you. You know, if you hire me to drive a bus for you, and you're my boss, and I come in and throw that, I agree with you. I'm right there with you. But a volunteer that puts his life on the line and gets paid nothing, and you're not his boss, paying him anything, you're supposed to be helping provide the things that he requires to keep our community safe. That's where I differ. It's not the same thing. You're apples and oranges. And it is your job.
All right, old business. I'm gonna go ahead and make the motion that we accept the resignation of Ed Custer as chief.
I'll second it.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? One. Any other new, old business, sorry. New business?
I make a motion, we go into executive session for 10 minutes and invite Jeremy.
Yes, I do